Let me see how I want to start this.
Hold on, real quick. Get up, man. Get up. Stand up. Okay. Anytime you do it, I was listening to Eric Thomas. You doing a podcast? You got to get pumped. Ha ha ha. You got to get pumped. You got to get. Yeah. You got to get pumped, man. Yeah.
I'm already pumped. I know what
all right.
Alrighty, guys. Welcome to our first episode of Belt to Ass. If you guys don't know me, my name is Elijah Smith. I am a UFC bantamweight. Here to the right of me, your guys' left is my father, Gilbert Jamal Smith Jr. And two-time Ultimate Fighter competitor, UFC veteran, Bellator veteran, former RFA world champion. We got a lot to talk about, and that's why we wanted to bring this podcast to you guys and just give you guys what we think of certain topics in the world, whether if it's political, sports, music, whatever it is, we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna also, of course, talk about what it's like to put belt to ass. Okay, so
okay. First and foremost, I want to redo that first part because we had it right, and then you start rambling and you went right over the script. So we're gonna anyway. You supposed to say, welcome to the first episode, belt to ass. Then I say, where we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's get into it.
Man, he just wants to get his little 2 cents. So I gotta let him.
So go ahead and say that for me.
Welcome to our first episode of Belt to Ass,
where we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's get into it.
And it took a lot to really get this. I mean, this all started as like I've been seeing a lot of podcasts. Of course, I watch a lot of podcasts like The Pivot, and I watch Volkanovski's and Adesanya's.
Mighty Mouse, I love his podcast.
Yeah, I like Mighty Mouse's podcast too. Yeah. And I was like, why not we hop on the bandwagon? Everybody is doing it.
Yeah.
You get to hear something different. Bro, pick up your glasses.
Yeah, I need them too, man. It's so funny because I got nothing to look at, but I feel slightly dumber when I don't have my glasses on. Like, I don't know, I lose my intelligence. But let's talk about how we actually came up with the name Belt to Ass. Tell me how you came up with that name, because I wasn't a fan of it at first.
Yeah, it's crazy that he wasn't a fan of it because it's one of those new sayings. I mean, I'm young, and I know it's popping and I know it's not popping. And putting the term belt to ass is meaning that, you're going out there and you're whooping somebody's ass.
So my thought process, I was like, hey, we got a father and son. We got a young and old. I wanted to call it generations, right? Generation. We got two different generations. You get it? Generations or legacy, or family business, because we both in the same business of kicking ass.
Yeah.
All that makes sense to me. If you like those, leave a comment and tell me I'm right.
I mean, I'm not saying they're bad names. It just, to me, I didn't get that same pull. It didn't capture my ears when I heard of generations. But when I hear belt to ass, I'm like, yo, that sound funny. Like, what are they doing on this podcast? Being two MMA fighters, we whoop ass. So I mean, it only makes sense. So you gotta stay hip to the game and understand what is trending and what is not trending.
Okay, so that is like, I like the name. It kind of grew on me. So and I don't feel like arguing with this kid back and forth, because it's like, it just frustrates me. I got enough things to deal with, so I'm like, all right, belt to ass, whatever.
Because I'm daddy,
right? But okay, but I think the purpose of this podcast is to give us the ability to speak our mind and to let people see the inside of how we work, because most people don't really understand, like, fighters and coaches, and especially a fighter coach that's like a father and son. And now we're getting up to that next level, to that UFC level. How are we gonna make it happen, and how are we gonna kind of fight through some of the issues we kind of run into? And trust me, we run into a lot of issues, and we're gonna bring it to you, right? So when we have a problem, we're gonna bring it to you. So that's our what and our why. Now moving on. Let's talk about something.
Yeah, there were some fights that happened
last night.
Yeah, Saturday. which
UFC Fight Night.
March 16th. So yeah, Saturday. And there was a couple of fights that that caught my eye. Now the first fight that I want to talk about, and it's probably I just had to talk about the heavyweight fight. Ryan Spann and Waldo Cortez Acosta.
It was a good fight starting out.
It was a good fight for Waldo. But Ryan Spann, this was I think his heavyweight debut.
Yeah.
So you could tell that he put on some weight, and not in a good way. Like it wasn't like a John Jones type of deal. And he still has that power, but I think he relies too much on his power. And like there's nothing behind it.
So speaking from my coach's standpoint, and once again, I don't know Ryan Spann, his team or anything, but a lot of guys jump up or jump down weight classes, figuring that like the weight class is the problem, instead of really focusing on the skill set. So if you go up or down a weight class, but didn't address some of your deficiencies to make yourself more well-rounded, then you're still gonna run into the same problem, just at a high weight class or at a lower weight class. And I think maybe that could have been a little bit of the issue. Once again, it's going to be difficult for us because we're going to be talking about fighters that we may run into. You know what I'm saying? So we giving our honest opinions, and people can have our honest opinions about us, about our fights, and that's fair. But we're going to be honest here. Seeing him moving up in weight class, but there was no moving up in skill level. And now you're dealing with bigger guys that's going to be hitting harder. And he's thinking they maybe like less, not as fast, but Waldo was just as fast. So I think that was a problem. Just his skill set just didn't develop.
I think now it's time for Ryan Spann to go ahead and take that GFL route. I'm calling it how I see it. That was a bad. He looked like, I'm not gonna lie, he looked terrible. He looked bad. He looked bad.
You're being honest, man. You're being honest. I appreciate that.
And you know what happened? Waldo put that belt to his ass. Yeah. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But another fight that I did want to talk about, the biggest betting favorite took a loss, and that was I want to say his name is Josias Musasa versus Carlos Vera. And Carlos Vera caught him with that nasty head kick, dropped him, and got to the back and submitted him. And Carlos Vera, he was the biggest underdog on the card.
In other words, if you bet money on the underdog, you made some money.
That probably I bet you that probably killed like probably 85% of a lot of people's parlays that they put together. But I mean, it just comes down to like, when you're betting, a fight is a fight. You never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, you have to look at the skills and how people match up. I really didn't know either fighter, so I couldn't have bet or told you who was going to win, who wasn't going to win. I just thought it was a good fight and damn sure a good finish. That head kick was powerful in a way. What I loved about it, because sometimes people, when they drop someone, they jump into ground and pound, and you can finish the guy. But I love when someone to jump into a good like submission and finish it like a Charles Oliveira. Because to me, I've broken my hand too many times trying to ground and pound people. So I went into like if I dropped you, I'm trying to choke you out. That just been my claim to fame.
Have you ever been head kicked?
I have been head kicked.
Yeah. by who? Tell me who you've been head kicked by.
I've been head kicked by a guy named Bonyan. Right. It was a good head kick. He caught me. I blocked it, but the kick still came and hit me and dropped me. But I still came back and won that fight. So don't forget that.
Did you think like when you got hit with that head kick, like were you like rattled a little bit, or like you just like kind of just like it just took you off your feet real quick?
I think it just took me off my feet. I was just off balance. But if you watch the fight, he got on top, I got the underhook, and I was about to use my half guard game to wrestle up or go for sweeps. I was ready, very cognizant that he couldn't get the finish. But I took it, man. Like I got a jaw. I can take a head kick. I don't want to, but I can.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I haven't been hit. I haven't been hit with a head kick yet. And maybe it could be probably because I'm on the taller end of my weight class. So throwing head kicks won't be the go-to strike with somebody who's a little bit taller.
And I was the shorter end of my weight class.
Yeah.
So
So that could probably play a case. But also, I want to go into just the prelims. The Did you watch the two women that got the knockout?
I saw only like
Yeah,
the IG, the Instagram little clips, but it was really cool to see women getting finishes with KOs. Right, a lot of times they go to a decision or they get a submission, but especially like a one punch KO or a head kick, like it still doesn't happen as much. So I love seeing women that can actually finish the fight, especially when in a dominant fashion.
yeah, I like that. It's exciting. It also shows that women they do have some knockout power, especially because the first girl that got the knockout, she landed a head kick, but the second girl, she just landed a clean uppercut, boom,
Yeah.
right to the jaw and just put her down. It was nasty. It almost reminded me of the Justin Gaethje's last fight with
Max Hoff?
Fizzy.
Oh,
No,
okay.
yeah, he
You know,
dropped.
I freaking missed that fight. I missed the whole card. I was in New York, and I missed the whole card. But I have to, yeah, I have to go back and watch that fight.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got it.
but now I want to move into
The
you
main
know,
card, yeah.
yeah, the main card. Now my weight class, the bantamweight, the Monster Blackshear versus the school teacher, Cody Gibson.
Is he a school teacher?
Yeah, he is a school teacher.
Is he still a school?
He is still a school teacher.
That's
That's
pretty
right.
cool. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, Cody Gibson. I found out about him through the Ultimate Fighter. I didn't know that because he actually had one stint in the UFC, and then he got cut, and then went on the Ultimate Fighter, did good there, and now he's back in the UFC. And he's one of those guys who's like real scrappy. He keeps coming forward. He almost reminds me a little bit of Vince Morales, kind of in a way in his fighting style. But Damon Blackshear, he's one of three guys to finish an opponent with a twister. So,
Wow.
which is cool because all three of them were there. The Korean Zombie was there. Bryce Mitchell was there.
Did you all take a picture together?
No, they did. They did. Yeah, they
Bro,
did take a picture. Yeah.
You know what's so funny? When it comes to this MMA thing, right? I'm not like an MMA nerd as much as this guy is. Like he knows all the inside information. He knows all the fighters. He can even pronounce their names correctly.
And this comes from a guy who didn't even. He's been watching MMA before I even.
That's the problem. I watch MMA for so long. Sometimes I just get burnt out. And I'm like, I only watch the fights I care about, or if one of my guys or one of my friends are fighting someone. But I don't sit down and watch the whole card from the first prelim fight to the last fight.
Oh, then he not a real fan, man. He like
I
what
just got
the
other shit to do.
like what the hell? Like yeah, I'm watching. I don't care. I mean, especially on the Saturday, I ain't got nothing else going on.
Yeah.
So I mean, why not? And I have my at my house. I have my dual set monitor. I be gaming, so I have the game on one screen, and then I have the fights on the other screen. So I'm always occupied. It keeps me going. And but back to the fight. It was so weird. So Cody Gibson comes out with the pressure, and he looked good. He looked really good.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And
Damon body shot. Yeah.
yeah, and Damon Blackshear, he just looked like he just. And one of the commentators, I think it was Michael Bisping, he said it looked like as if like he didn't warm up in the back.
Yeah. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes like when you're in the back and you warming up, you try to time it perfectly for a fight. And maybe the fight before you lasts a little bit longer or kind of end quickly. So your warm ups is just so sporadic and crazy, and you're not fully warmed up by the time when it's time to fight.
Funny enough, I've never been a real warm up guy for real. Like I'm like, even back in high school when I was wrestling, if you guys ever find who my wrestling coach is, because I feel like some of you guys are weird like that. You guys will find stuff like that. I would take a nap. Like I wrestling tournaments. If you wrestle, wrestling tournaments are all day. So I'll take a nap, and then they'll be like, Elijah, you're up next, and I'll wake up. I'm like, all right, I guess it's time to get ready to go. That's just how I operated. I wouldn't advise you to take that route, but that's just work. That's what worked for me. It might not work for you.
Well, I tell you what, my last competition, I did a jiu-jitsu competition. I did the Denver Open. Yeah, I didn't warm up at all, right? And because of that, I almost blew out my knee because the guy he jerked me, he pulled guard. It was a gi competition, and I was not ready for it. I was like, am I really competing right now? Like I was in this glazed, dreamy world, and like I just was not dialed in. And he pulled guard really hard, and I almost hurt my knee. Yeah, so I do think warming up is very, very important. So
I think it's very important. It really is. But for some reason, I feel like if you just throw me in, I have to like I don't know. That gets me more amped up. It gives me more adrenaline.
Yeah, well, I think scientifically speaking, it's definitely better to warm up. But anyways,
Yeah,
once we get back to the fight, yeah, the guy, he did not, he didn't start off strong, but like by the end of the first round, like he was taking over, and I think especially when it got to the grappling exchanges.
because when Cody Gibson took him down, he was like, I feel like he kind of felt like, oh, like this guy, he can't really mess with me on the ground.
Dude was a black belt.
Yeah, his grappling he's not as strong as my grappling is, and so I think that's what kind of woke Damon Blackshear up. Especially at the end of the first round, he cut him with the elbow, and yeah, from there, and then Cody Gibson coming out in the second round, he was on the pressure, and even when I was confused on why he went back to the takedown because I felt like he should have just been targeting going to the body
Yeah,
and forcing the takedowns out of Blackshear for him to sprawl out and stop it, but he was actually initiating the wrestling, which I was
it kind of led to his doom, and
yeah.
it was very interesting because the fight finished with a Kimura, and a Kimura submission is not a submission you see a lot in the UFC.
There was two back
Yeah,
to
it was
back.
back to back, and I was thinking to myself, when the last time I seen a Kimura submission in the UFC?
Yeah.
You just don't see that a lot. So to see
I think
two,
the last one I can remember is Islam when he finished Dan Hooker.
oh yeah, right, true, and I think didn't Khabib get one when he fought Ferguson maybe? No, not Ferguson. The other black guy, Michael Johnson. No, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Man,
But yeah, but
CTE over here.
yeah.
He said
but
Ferguson. I don't know that they didn't fight. I know they didn't fight.
I guess I don't know shit about MMA.
Yeah.
But in any case, it hasn't had a Kimura submission in a long time. So it was really cool to see that. Now, I have a question for you. Now, when you're watching these guys that's in your weight division,
Yeah.
what are you thinking?
I'd be like, oh shit, man, I could probably fight one of those guys.
Obviously.
Yeah. That's the number one thing. I now that I'm in the UFC, I don't watch bantamweight fights as an enjoyment anymore. I watch their fights as like a scouting report now.
The same way I am now. Like that's actually the only division that I really watch and I pay attention to.
Yeah, especially on like
the bantamweights because of you.
Especially like the low rank bantamweights.
Yeah.
Like right now, like if I see them on the prelim, I'm like, okay, that can be, a possibility in the near future. But
speaking of bantamweights, your opponent that you fought, Vince Morales, that you beat, is already fighting again, and maybe a week or two from now.
Yeah, on the UFC Mexico card, the Moreno versus Urseg.
Was it the 28th, March 28th or 29th?
29th, yeah.
Yeah, and like, what
on
do
the
you
main
think?
card too.
Yeah, on the main card. What do you think about that?
I think it's funny you go from the third fight on the prelims to the main card, and I think that kind of goes to show how much the UFC believes in Raul Rojas Jr. In his star power. But if it was me, if I was Vince, I probably would have waited till like summertime to get another fight. But I don't know. Maybe the UFC pressured him into this. Maybe they offered a little bit more money. Maybe they offered him an extra fight.
Yeah.
But it just in my head it doesn't make sense because even in the promos that Vince was cutting up, he was saying when he was getting ready to fight me, he was like, this is the first fight that I had a full fight camp under me, and because when he got signed back to the UFC, he fought Taylor Lapilus in London, I think.
Who also
no, in France.
Who also just got cut.
Yeah, who also got cut, and he fought him on short notice.
Yeah.
So it's like, dang, you're gonna take another fight on short notice against another young, tough guy in enemy territory at higher elevation. It's in Mexico City. I don't know.
He's Mexican, so I don't know. But I would say this from my coaching standpoint.
Who Mexican?
Vince.
Boy,
I mean, they're both Mexican.
That boy, like 25% Hispanic.
No, he's Mexican. I mean, Vince Morales is his name. Say, but
yeah, he don't speak a lick of Spanish.
How do you know?
I could tell by his American accent.
See, if I was Vince, I was watching this video, I'd be like, I'd be feeling some type of way. I'd be insulted.
He said, "Damn, see, I knew I beat him."
Yeah, but from a coach's standpoint, it was very interesting to see him take the fight because I'm like, okay, you just lost the fight, and I feel like there was areas that you needed to grow in, and within a month time frame, you're not going to grow. The only thing that's going to happen is you're going to try to get back into shape. You're going to try to weight cut, and you're going to try to maybe get a couple rounds of sparring, and now you're going to go fight another tough guy, and you didn't even give your body, your mind time to heal. I really wonder what went into the whole like accepting of the fight. Like you said, was he offered a shit ton of money? Was he offered like extra fights on his contract? Like
Man,
if he loses,
I was talking to a guy and he was like, on one of the guys that interviewed me, he was like, "How much do you think Vince is getting paid?" He was like 60,000. I was like, shit, 60,000? No.
well, you know, in Vegas, because y'all fought in Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas is one of those cities or states, Nevada, where they show you can actually Google it and you can see how much a person gets paid.
Yeah.
Like it's public knowledge. So I would assume Vince is still on a basic contract. One, he lost his last fight before you, and he lost your fight. So if they going off the contract, I wouldn't be shocked if he was making at
18?
maximum 12 and 12, maybe 16, 16, at max 18, 18.
Yeah, I was
at
thinking
max.
18. Yeah.
But still, to take another fight so short, you know, in all honesty, I don't say I love, but I like Kevin Horas, but I kind of wish that Vince do win. I think I like.
Time out. Did y'all just catch that?
I
No. Y'all didn't catch what he said. Kevin Rojas. That's his brother.
shit.
That's his brother.
Man, because we used to train with him. yeah.
Raul.
Raul Horas. Is it Horas or Rojas?
Rojas.
Right? So we used to train with Kevin, right? So I'm thinking about him. But in any case, people are probably gonna beat me up. Debate. This guy don't know shit about fights. He don't know shit about fighters. You make me look bad.
Right, man.
But in all honesty, I do wish that Vince would win. I think that would make your win look stronger.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, man, he needs a win. Honestly, he really needs a win. To have 3 losses in a row.
It's so weird because they like I said, I think I said this like a couple of weeks ago. Like they both like Vince obviously trains in Vegas at Syndicate, and I'm sure Raul, he trains a bunch at Syndicate.
Yeah, we just saw a picture of him training at Syndicate, right?
He probably doesn't train there anymore. I don't know, but it's just so weird in Vegas. I bet you after this fight they start training with each other again.
Yeah. Well, either way, good luck, brother.
But next, the last fight that I want to talk about is your former opponent.
Yeah, Chitty Bang Bang.
Chitty
What up?
Njokuani.
Yeah.
He fought, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, but his last name is Dos Santos. He
Capoeira.
Yeah, Capoeira. The only
Banana way. Fun fact, I got into MMA through Capoeira. I started training in Capoeira, and I wrestled a little bit, and I've been around Brazilians.
And he don't throw any of those kicks.
and they were doing jiu-jitsu, and in my Capoeira class, I was like, hey man, I wrestle a little bit. Let me learn some jiu-jitsu. And then I got into jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So my MMA career started with Capoeira.
So I mean, yeah, that's what's up.
All right, Chitty, man. I'm not gonna lie. Every time I see Chitty fight, I'll be like, man, I want that rematch.
You don't want that rematch.
I probably don't, because I feel like you look better than him. I can be honest with you. But I'm saying, man, when I fought Chitty, this was at the RFA for the welterweight championship. We fought in Colorado Springs at the World Arena.
Yeah.
And Chitty missed weight again, brother. Come on, man. By 5 pounds.
Okay, yeah, 5 pounds when
you weigh 4.6.
But this time that he missed weight, he said that the doctor cut him off. I want to know how that goes about. Like, do they still take the percentage?
In my, I don't know. That's a good question. If you know this,
if you do get a percentage taken for missing weight because the doctor cut you off, and I think he said because his blood pressure was too high or something like that. Man, I'm gonna have to roll the dice. I'm gonna be like, I don't care what you say, you're not taking 20. So you only have 1 pound to go. You know.
Yeah, well, I think he weighed in like 172.2.
Yeah.
So he had basically 1 pound to go. So the question is, if you cutting weight and the doctor sees you because you came in, you was a little bit over, and you were like, hey, I got at least an hour, because typically Nevada will give you an hour to cut the last couple pounds if you can. But the doctor saw you and he checked your vitals, and the doctor was like, all right, it's not safe. They're not gonna allow you to cut any more weight. Do you still have to pay the 20%? Considering the fact that I know that I could still cut that 1 pound in that hour, but the doctor said, nope, you're not doing it.
I'll be
So
like, what?
it's not my fault if the doctor tell me I can't do it, but it is your fault that you still came in initially at the first attempt to weigh in. You still came in overweight.
Yeah.
So like I don't know where it goes with that. I may have to talk to your manager. He probably have more experience in that.
Yeah, probably.
But that's a good question.
I mean, Chitty, he's
But either way, he looked good. He looked good, and now he's a 3-fight winning streak in the welterweight division.
did he throw those teeps like he did to you? I can't remember.
No, he did teep me in the face. Actually, I got a picture of him teeping me in the face. If my producer over here could show the picture of him teeping me in the face, it'd be like right here, ding, right.
Yeah.
But man, his legs is just so damn long. It catches you at the range that you're not ready for.
Even though Santos, like, he even tried like taking him down, and he had a good base, you know, getting the legs wide and fighting the underhook and really good clinch work, elbows, knees.
Hey, I took him down though.
Yeah,
I took him down. But I tell you, the one thing about Chitty that I love is one, he went really back and worked on his wrestling, worked on his jiu-jitsu. He's a black belt now.
I did see he got his black belt in 2020.
Yeah. He's actually he's been a black belt for a while now because he understands with his fighting style, people is going to want to take him down. They want to take him down and submit him, so he has to be very prepared for that. So I think it just makes sense to focus on that because his striking is world class.
This episode of Belt to Ass is presented to you by Sheath Underwear, the best underwear in the world. If you go to sheathunderwear.com and use the promo code SWIFT, that's SWIFT, get 25% off any purchase that you make on the online store. So go ahead, check them out. Keep your giblets intact, keep your nanas intact, and hit them up. All right, so yeah, I wanted to talk about one more fight on the card. It was the Alexander the Great Hernandez versus Kurt Holobaugh. I think I said his name right. And the reason why I want to talk about that is because I think sometimes when you get into when the fight isn't going your way, a lot of guys don't know how to adapt and change up the game plan. So in the first round, Kurt was putting on the pressure. I mean, Alex, he had good footwork. They were both landing good strikes, but Kurt, he just kept on with the pressure, landing some good combinations. And I think he took round one.
Yeah. He definitely took round one. Yeah. I thought though Alexander showed he was just more technical. Yeah. But Kurt was just more like powerful. Like he was just like I saw Alexander. I really liked it because I love the fact that he was able to throw straight shots, way more technical than before. But the dude was just like the other guy
kept coming.
Throwing good power.
Now we go into the second round and almost the same thing. Kurt, he's putting on the pressure, and Alexander, he switches it up and boom, blast double right off his shot. And right at that point, you could see that he found something. He found a little success. He was like, oh, instead of getting punched in my face and fighting damn near a zombie who keeps coming towards me, I'm going to take his ass down.
Makes sense.
I'm going to take him down and I'm going to beat him up and I'm going to hold him down because Kurt, he's shown in his past fights that he cannot get up off his back.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good jiu-jitsu guy. He's a black belt himself.
I can't believe that.
No, I mean, it's like the problem with like jiu-jitsu guys that get into MMA, sometimes they play too much off their back. They really believe in they guard game and things like this. Yeah, but like
he kept going for like damn, what's the sweep called? He just kept going from the armbar.
The pendulum sweep?
Yeah, pendulum sweep. He kept going for that because he kept hooking the lead leg.
But the flower sweep.
Flower sweep.
Yeah,
but he couldn't get it. But he kept trying to go back to it, and then if he didn't get it, he'll go right back to guard and then get beat up again.
Yeah, and you gotta have a sense of urgency to get up. Like, and sometimes the guys that like do really well in the gym and jiu-jitsu competitions, they feel real comfortable on their back, and it doesn't work well when it comes to MMA. You end up losing a round.
Yeah,
and that's basically what happened.
Yeah, and in the third round, Alexander, he came out, took him down again, and won the fight.
Yeah,
just that easy.
Yeah, congratulations to him, man. We met him at Factory X, and
I was with Brandon Royval and Clay Mata, their team up there.
Yeah,
with Luis.
They're actually going on a big run. Like they got some big strong wins under them. So
Yeah.
much props to those guys. They call themselves what? The Boys?
Shit, I didn't even know.
Yeah,
I didn't even.
yeah. Well, I heard them talking about they call themselves the Boys.
The Boys. What
Yeah.
the hell? Come on, y'all. You got to come up with a better name.
I mean, it is what it is.
The Boys.
Yeah. Okay, man. So let's talk about the hot topic of the day, right? The hot topic of the day. And I know we're a couple weeks behind on it, but it's still relevant to us, right? The hot topic of the day is the whole LeBron step into Stephen A. Smith about Bronny. Now, the reason why we want to talk about this is because how I feel about Bronny being in the NBA, which is basically he only made it to the NBA because of his father. And some people can make the argument, hey, the only reason why Elijah made it to the UFC is because of me. And even Elijah made the point one day, and he was like, I feel like there's a lot of guys out there that got like maybe bigger records that have done more that should be in the UFC, but I made it so quick. And a lot of it has to do with, no, I do think how you fight, how you've been knocking people out, your looks, but also the fact the storyline of like me fighting in UFC and being a second father-son duel did help push you there. So I feel like we could definitely relate to that story.
I mean, yeah, no, definitely. I think for like people, I'm a LeBron fan. I got LeBron over Jordan.
That's wild. That's wild. That's crazy. That's crazy,
But
man.
what?
Oh,
But
man,
but but
yeah,
what?
we'll talk about it another day.
But what's wrong with being number 2 of all time? There's nothing wrong with that.
No. Well, you're right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with LeBron being number 2 of
LeBron
all
has
time.
50,000 points.
Yeah.
Okay, 50,000
And that
points.
makes him the perfect number 2 GOAT. That makes him the perfect number 2 GOAT.
Anyways, we're not even gonna get into that. But LeBron and Bronny, I think I was just watching Bronny's highlights earlier today before I came in, and I'm a big fan of Bronny. I really am, and it sucks because I want to see him succeed so bad on the NBA court. But if you watch his G League, because he also plays in the G League, dude has scored 30 points back to back like a couple of times. I feel like he's more comfortable. I think Bronny hasn't been able to get comfortable in that big of a setting, because when you put him in the G League, he balls out.
Yeah.
He does. But if you put him on the NBA, and maybe it can also be a conflict of how many minutes he's getting played, because in the G League he's getting more than 5 minutes that he would get when they put him in an NBA game. So maybe he has more time to get his groove in the G League. But I also do think it's a confidence thing. He feels more confident in the G League. Maybe it's a smaller crowd, and not many people are there compared to playing ball in what's the arena that they play in? Come on, man. I can't know everything now.
well,
He said,
you bring up information. Listen, I get
crypto arena.
There you go. Good job. I get hit in the head for a living. I don't remember shit. But the thing is this, just like you said, he's way more confident in the G League. That was the place he should have went. He should not have been drafted into the NBA.
But I'll tell you what, he was the 55th overall pick.
Right.
Probably the best 55th overall pick in the NBA ever.
I will say this: he brings the most amount of money and more eyes, but he wasn't the most skilled. Like he shouldn't have been drafted. If his dad wasn't LeBron, you got to understand his freshman college year, he averaged 4 points. Like,
but he had came back from.
I get it. Yeah, he had a medical issue.
But maybe he should have. He should have.
He should have done one more year.
Maybe I
one more year
of
college ball, and then we probably wouldn't be having this argument. But
I feel like it came down to a point where it's like LeBron. He was getting to a point where he
wants to retire. He wants to officially make sure he gets a year with his son.
And maybe they used that 1 year that he should have played in college, using that 1 year in the G League, which is what they're doing.
So, if we bring it back to us,
getting paid $8 million.
Right. How do you think, or tell me, how do you feel about your push to the UFC and like how fast it was, and like how do you feel about it? Like, do you think it was fair? Do you think you belong there?
Hell yeah, I thought it was fair. Hell yeah. I know I belong there. But I mean,
Why? Why do you think you deserve amongst all the other bantamweights? Like, why do you? I mean, sell yourself right now. If you, let's say you wasn't signed and you're Dana White, you're standing right there. How would you sell yourself to Dana White? Like, hey, I deserve that shot.
I feel like, so if I was, if Dana White was standing up right in front of us, I would say, look at my record, look at all the people that I fought, and look at their records after I fought them. Most 90% of them have winning records.
Mm-hmm.
I'm young. I'm 22 at the time. I'm 22. I'm exciting. I connect with the younger generation. I have a good record.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. And the biggest thing is something that you helped me do while it was coming up is that I have a good social media platform. I have a good way. I feel like I'm easy to market. So I feel like you put all those things together, it just all makes sense.
Yeah.
And going out there and fighting guys who are training at these high level gyms and beating them.
Right.
I mean,
that's pretty dope, man. Like I think the fact that we come from a small gym, actually Victory MMA, and the fact that we go out there and we fight guys from Syndicate or from City Boxing, and we able to go out and beat those guys, I think it definitely says a lot. I also think because of your social media presence and you do put a lot of effort. And I tell my guys all the time, granted, you could fight good, you could like kick butt, but if no one knows about it, no one cares. Like you got to be able to market yourself. You got to be able to brand yourself. That actually really does matter. I'm like, bro, like you fighting. How come you haven't made a post about your fight? No one know. You're not selling no tickets. You're not bringing people to the venue, and now you want people to care about you. It's difficult. We all living in the social media age, and we just gotta like play with the game. You may not like it.
Yeah.
I hate social media. I hate Instagram. I get it, but it's just the game we play now.
Yeah, everybody try to be too old school. Like I feel like they expect people to come to them too much, and it's like nobody's gonna come to you if they don't even know who you are.
So now, Bronny made it to the NBA specifically because of LeBron. You guarantee.
I would say that.
If I was Bronny's father, he would have never got looked at. Do you think if I wasn't your father, you'd have got looked at?
100%. 100%. Easily. Just the way how like my. I mean, I honestly feel like my fight career is more exciting than yours.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
From my amateur career all the way up to my pro career. I feel like I'm the more exciting fighter.
Yeah.
I feel like if you put us two right by each other, you put one of my fights and one of your fights, everybody they'll probably be like, you know what, this one is more the fan. My fight is more the fan favorite fight. So I feel like with the finishes, with the type of fights and performances I put on, I think I would have.
Okay. So he made it personal. Okay, so let me break this down. Is your fights more exciting than mine? Here's the thing my son is forgetting. He's forgetting that I made him, right? I told him.
He didn't make this power.
Yeah. Listen, I asked him one day, I was like, who do you think is going to have the better career? And he was like, Dad, of course me. Right, I'm gonna have the better career. I got these wins already. I'm already in the UFC. This and that. I was like, I'm only 22 years old, and I was like, yeah, man, you're right about all that. You're right about all that. But then I told him, I said, you know what? My career is gonna be better because my career is gonna count for my fights and your fights. Because I'm the one that coach you, trained you, manage you. Hell, you came from my nutsack, boy. Like everything about you is. Hey, it's not true.
I've already surpassed them. You did.
Listen.
Like I said before. At first, I was Elijah Smith, Gilbert's son.
Yeah.
Now they come to you. Oh, you're Gilbert Smith.
Yeah.
Elijah's dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you're in the shadows.
You know what?
He loves the camera when it's put on him.
Yeah. Listen, I'm so happy for you, and like I want you to have the greatest career. That's why I even told him. I said, listen, I would love to see him travel, like go to different places, train with different teams, train with different coaches. So he's not just underneath me, because like I could teach him a lot. I'm still teaching him, I'm still training him. but there's so much more to the world that I want him to be exposed to.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, since you're going into that type of topic, going traveling and training in different places. What are your thoughts on cross training?
Oh, yeah.
I've seen, you know, I don't know. I feel like there's been times where you're like, no, we're not cross training, and then there was a point in time where you're like, I'm gonna sort of kind of open up the doors.
Yeah, so cross training, it is a very complicated conversation. It's like, hold on, bringing LeBron back into it. You will never see like LeBron training with the Boston Celtics. Think about that.
I mean, they do open runs.
Yeah, okay, all right, but like you will never see LeBron literally going to a Boston Celtics training practice.
I mean, no, but I mean, like I said, during the summertime though, they, different athletes, they all
Yeah,
get
they come
together,
together,
have training sessions together.
Okay, so I really believe cross training with other gyms. It should be done as a team effort. Like there's something to be said called hostile sparring. What is that? That's when because me and you sparring together, we know each other, we friends, we teammates, we see each other all the time, and we're gonna get good rounds. But when you bring someone else in from another gym, it's a little bit more hostile because they got something to prove too. They don't want to come to a new gym and get beaten up. Or I lost someone coming to their gym and allow that new person to beat them up. So I respect that. But however, that is done as a team. Like me, you, and maybe some other teammates. Sometimes we go out to Factory X and we do it as a team. Now, if you get up and just go to a gym across the street, which is a gym that we compete against a lot, that's a problem to me. Because now I'm like, yo, you helping those guys get better, and those are the same guys that we're gonna fight. Now, us in Factory X, we made a bond. We said we'll never fight each other. As long as we keep cross training with each other, we're never gonna compete against each other. So that's a bond that we can keep playing with. But if you're going down the street to someone else, I don't know. I don't mess with that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it, I feel it, but sometimes I do like bringing guys from different gyms over to our gym and being able to go a little bit harder.
Yeah, that is true. Because sometimes you can spar with someone like that's not part of the gym. Like you said, you go a little bit harder because technically speaking, they'll probably go hard too, and you don't have to worry about the consequences. Like if I hurt my training partner that I see every day, I feel just a little bit worse compared to that I hurt someone that like I'm not going to see again or for a long time. But we both have a gentleman agreement, like we about to turn up. Well, with that said, when people jumping from gym to gym to gym, the issue I have with that is that if you don't have no loyalty to your gym, then why should the gym have loyalty to you? Like people that are like that come here, hey, I want to train here, I want to train there, I want to train there. But then after that, they want to come to me and say, hey, coach, can you work with me? Can you find fights for me? Can you help corner me? Can you help coach me? Can you help hold pads or give me privates? I'm like, why do I want to invest so much into you when you haven't invested back into the team? Your presence here matters. Meaning, if you at this team practice and you're not at my team practice, my team is losing out on another body. So that means something. So if you want to jump from gym to gym, that's fine. You can do that. I can't stop you because you're a grown adult. But just know that goes both ways.
I feel that. No, that makes 100% sense. But I don't know. I can't tell you how many people hit me up on the random or like when I'm out like, hey bro, like, I actually want to get some, I want to get some training with you. I'm like, you know what? To be honest, you'll never train with me. And the reason why is because I'm just like, me training with you doesn't help me get better. And I'm at a level where I need to be training with people who are either better than me or we're at the same level.
Yeah, so y'all can push each other.
Yeah. The only way that I would train with somebody who's lower than me is if I'm times like now where I don't really have a fight. And maybe, I just want to, just probably help somebody out and somewhat be like a coach kind of.
Well, I mean, you would train with someone that's lower than you when they're your teammate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're part of Victory MMA and you were like an amateur fighter coming up, or even sometimes a new guy, and you learn, and you definitely will go roll, kickbox, box with them because they're a teammate.
But I
And
do feel like sometimes they be scared to go with me. They're like, oh man, or it's either not. I don't want to say scared, but like they're nervous. They're like, man,
you hear that, Avery? He's
this is
calling you scared, son.
nah, not Avery a dog, but like
Yeah.
some of the other guys, like newer guys, they're like maybe they're sitting there like, oh, like this is Elijah, like I just saw him fight for the in the UFC, and I don't want to get my ass whooped, and I'm like, I'm not gonna whoop your ass. I'm gonna make you work though.
But yeah, he's gonna put belt to ass.
Yeah.
But I do believe like if someone that's outside from another gym and say, hey, I would like to get some work with you, and I'm gonna be like, you gotta understand it has to go both ways because I can't give my time and energy to just randoms, people that's gonna show up once every blue moon or show up only once. Like it's not gonna work like that, especially if you don't serve a purpose in my life. Like I get it, how it could benefit you, but it has to go both ways. Because right now you're in a place that like, everything matters, and you're going with some random person who may try to hurt you to prove a point. Like, hey, I took out Elijah Smith. He wasn't that tough. It's not cool. So I can't. You no longer can gamble. Even myself, I'm not even fighting anymore. But however, I have a lot of responsibility to this gym. Even I cannot gamble with some randoms. You got to be a teammate or someone that really benefits us to go both ways. You help us when we help you. If not, then I'm just ain't messing with it.
I feel that.
So,
And what do you feel? How do you feel about the GFL?
the GFL, the
Oh,
grandfather league.
I didn't know that Luke Barnett was one of the.
Yeah, Luke Bennett also one of my. He was in the Ultimate Fighter season 17 with me. One of the guys I fought. Actually, the only guy that knocked me out. So, but I actually me and him was really cool, man. We actually spent some time training after the Ultimate Fighter, and we still kind of talk a little bit on social media. The GFL is like I don't understand it. Like
That doesn't make sense. So like you have what 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 6 different locations. You have New York, Los Angeles, Miami, Sao Paulo, Dubai, and then London. And each one has a team management. So for London, you have Luke Barnett, Carl Prince. Dubai has Cain Velasquez and Javier Mendez. Sao Pablo has Lyoto Machida and Andre, whatever. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Pederneiras.
Yeah. And it goes on and goes on. And it's like for example, Los Angeles, their team management is Vanderlei Silva, Rafael Cordero, and Brandon Ware. I want to know like what do these
Well, I could understand some of the coaches because if you look at it from the standpoint of like go back there. For like Los Angeles, you got Rafael who has Kings MMA, which is in like Los Angeles, at least around that area, I believe. Miami.
but like are they
you got Miami? You got American Top Team, which is also in.
but are they training these guys?
No, they're not training them. Some of them they are. Some of them they're not. I mean, this team does have a lot of American Top Team guys. Yoel's American Top Team, Junior Dos Santos,
Eric
American.
Shelton.
Yeah, a lot of them is American Top Team, but you got people like Anthony Pettis, who's not American Top
You
Team.
got Paige Slap.
Yeah.
I watched Paige Van Zant
So
past week and doing the slap fest or slap power slap.
yeah, so my opinion on the GFL is like I don't have an opinion until they actually have a event. Once they actually have an event and you see how the event is going to look, you see how the process is going to be, then I will start to formulate an opinion. Right now, it's just a lot of talk and a lot of social media BS. I really hope that they do well. I really hope that like it actually becomes something and it gives fighters who like still want to compete a place to go to. I'm not the biggest fan of going after guys who like retired, who should retire, and then focus on them. I do think you should maybe homegrown some of the younger guys and go from there. But just going off of people like you could tell it was already done and they should be retired. I think that's a little bit shaky. But they do got some good talent, and we see how it plays out.
I mean, how do you feel about do you think that the UFC is getting to a point where they're too big for any other fight promotions to even try to compete with them? Like the PFL is the One Championships, GFL, Karate Combat.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, you should not try to compete with the UFC. You should try to work with the UFC. You got leagues like the RFA, LFA, and you got leagues like Fury. That's a feeder league to the UFC. And I'm not saying you exactly have to do it like that, where you just building up stars for the UFC. But that's one route. Whereas you know your lane and you're not trying to compete with them. You're working with them.
It's like the NFL. Like, I mean, if like
Or
you
the
know,
NBA with the G League.
nah, yeah, but like NFL, like they try to do what the XFL,
Yeah.
that kind of and
But
then
but to compete with them is not going to work. But I don't think the GFL is trying to compete with them. Now I do think people like the World Series of Fighting, not World Series of Fighting, that's old school. The PFL, right? They saying that we got the same amount of talent as the UFC and try to compare themselves to the UFC. That's when you start to like, that's not you're not being real. Like, don't get me wrong, the PFL got some great talent, but you know the best fighters are going to be in the UFC. And let's not even make that argument because you're just going to sound weird. You stay in your lane, you figure out what is your product, and you focus on your product, and don't compare your product to the UFC product because that's just another level, and that's a headache you just don't want to deal with because everybody can look at you a little strange, like, that's not real. So focus on your product, building up the fighters, putting up good fights, and like and getting people like excited to want to come and watch it. Like I can't tell you, they're like where the PFL have fights at. I can't tell you.
I don't know where they put them.
Like I've never seen a PFL fight or like, hey man, they're gonna have one in Vegas, one in New York or Miami. I can't tell you.
Yeah.
Like what? Who's the audience? Who's actually showing up buying tickets? Now even for the fight cards, I think they come on freaking where the fight cards come on. See, that's the thing. There you go.
He said that's
Where
it.
can you even watch the PFL fights? I just
Maybe
watch the
maybe
highlights.
maybe you gotta go on the website. I don't know. Maybe
ESPN Plus. That's where the fight cards are happening. So,
on
but
PFL.
yeah, PFL.
They're on ESPN.
Yeah, ESPN Plus.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So, so that makes it so difficult to actually find the fights because like they don't really promote it as much, and definitely ESPN don't promote it at all.
Yeah, I wonder where
Yeah.
I wonder where GFL is going to be, putting out their fights.
Yeah, I
Have
honestly
their
think if I was these
put it on
guys,
Netflix.
I would try to make a partnership with YouTube. You know, like I think having fights on YouTube, free fights on YouTube, you can get a lot of eyes, a lot of people watching it. And I think honestly, that's what UFC is going to too. That the UFC was talking about, I think, putting Power Slap on YouTube.
No, they did. This past one, it was on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, it was on YouTube.
There you go.
Because
So
he wanted Dana White, he wanted to have free range to do whatever he wanted on the power slap, and so he went to YouTube. But
yeah, because I think this is the last year that the UFC is under contract with ESPN. So they're looking for other options.
oh,
I
the
think
Netflix.
Yeah, I think that's the word in the street. They maybe head into Netflix, which would be super wild and crazy.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
And I think it's crazy when you look at it from the standpoint.
But I wonder. So if they're, I mean, if they run out of the contract, like where is all the Dana White Contender Series stuff going to still be on ESPN or the next level, or like when they're done with their contract, they take all their stuff off?
I tell you right now, the UFC would not sign a contract that they don't have total control or control of their properties. I promise you right now, the contract the UFC signed with them, they was like, hey, we're gonna produce because they produce their own shows, right? And so they only adding content for them. They not creating content for the UFC. So I tell you right now, UFC gonna take all our content and they're gonna probably turn it over to the Fight Pass, whatever the case may be. But they own all of that. I promise you. I'll be shocked if the UFC don't own all the rights to their content that they have.
Crazy.
So,
All right, we make another pivot. So, topic that I feel like I get asked a little bit, or maybe some people are kind of surprised. But I want to get your thoughts on THC, marijuana, Mary Jane, the devil's lettuce.
oh my God. I had no idea you were gonna bring that up.
Yeah.
Cause that's not on the.
He said that's not on the sheet.
That's not on the
Nah.
THC marijuana. Okay, all right. Let's talk about it.
Cause
All right.
you were saying the other day that you wanted to do, and y'all tell me what you guys would like to see. Cause he said that he would like to do a video of him teaching high, and
Training.
yeah, and both of us training, and him coaching while being intoxicated.
So here's the thing. Most people know me. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do anything, right? And I don't advocate it. I'm actually against it.
As
Uh,
and people know me, some people may, I love THC. But I
he get
don't,
that from his mother.
but I don't smoke when I'm like, when I'm going to train. I do that. I do that on my off time, like when I'm at home late at night and when I'm trying to go to sleep. Because sometimes I have troubles going to sleep, or else I'll be up all night. So it's just the easy way for me to, take a shower, eat, and I'm slumped.
Well, so the
And
thing is that people would come tell me is like, hey, when they high, they could focus more,
not me.
right? And I always wonder how would I be able to like operate if I was like high. So I was gonna do experiments, just gonna be experiment.
I
Not,
feel like
not,
he's gonna have like a panic attack. Some people when they get high, especially like with him, I think with the whole class, I feel like you're gonna be like, somebody take over, or we're gonna be training with no music.
right. Right.
He-
Well, I don't know, man. Like for me, it's just about like experiments, a little bit of experience. I talk about it a lot, how I'm against it. So now, I'm not just going to talk about it, right? I'm actually going to experience it, and then my opinions could be more factually based off of experience, not just like speaking from the outside in. I could speak from the inside out. Because there are times when people come to the gym and they are high, and I'm like, bro, like, what are you doing here? Like, like like if you want to be a professional athlete, if that's your goal, like coming to the gym high, it doesn't make sense. And they make the argument of like, well, it helps me focus. Okay.
it's
All
a
right.
good recovery too.
Yeah. Well, do it on you. I appreciate when you said, hey, I do it to help me sleep. I could respect that. But when you come into the gym high, I just think it's wild and crazy. But then you got people who promote that, right? Especially in the whole jiu-jitsu community. They promote a lot of times getting high and smoking weed, right before they roll. We got tournaments where they're actually smoking weed, like damn, they're doing the competition. Like,
I bet you it's like the percentage of fighters that smoke weed is like probably pretty high. I bet you it's pretty high.
yeah.
But the one guy who I think is crazy, who doesn't smoke weed, is that fighting nerds guy, is that Carlos Prats, or
Yeah.
yeah, he smokes cigarettes
Oh, that's crazy.
and
It
and
does.
drinks whiskey all the time. But
Yeah.
like smoking cigarettes, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's like there's no benefits to that. There's no benefits. Like no,
I think,
I
but also I think, like, when you talk about professional athlete and you smoking weed, you think like because it's weed and it's not a cigarette, you still inhaling something that's going to affect your lungs. Like I honestly really really believe I get it how Nate Diaz and Nick Diaz made it cool and like, well, look at those guys, but I mean not everybody's going to be a Nate Diaz, and I just don't want to promote it because now we're looking at like kids coming up looking up to you and be like, hey, I should start smoking weed and start getting high, and I could still be a professional athlete at the highest level. And I think
well, you ain't got to smoke. This you can take an edible. You know,
either way, I'm a firm believer that like
what if we gave you an edible? Would that make you feel a lot better than having to put smoke into your lungs?
honestly, man, like I really wish that people would deal with life as is. And I'm
What?
not listen. My opinion on weed and THC is very difficult because a lot of people are going to disagree with me.
I feel like it's one of those things because you've never been in a comfortable setting when you've been high. So like I said, like the first time I got high, I wasn't comfortable. Like I felt like people were looking at me like you get to you start thinking about different things and you're like, bro, I'm about to go crazy. But when you're at home and you're chilling, you're in your own element, you're listening to music, you just ate something good, you had a nice good burger, and you're listening to good music. Man, I'm telling you, it put you in a whole different mind frame.
Well, listen, that's why I'm going to experiment with it. Like I'm
I want, yeah, I mean, you're gonna experience it, but you need to experience it on your own.
Probably. Well, I
Yeah,
have
oh
you.
yeah, yeah,
You make it sound like I've never been high before.
yeah,
Like you make it sound like I'm
but
somebody.
you've done it at like somebody else's house,
Yeah.
but it's nothing like being in your own space, being in your own element. You know, nobody's
Yo,
around
man, I
you.
get high for life, man. You know what I'm saying? When I get some booty, I get high. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I bet you do.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, it was just a little quick conversation because I'll be going back and forth with these guys, and I figure, you know what? I'm gonna play the game a little bit, and I'm gonna give it a shot. And I mean, worst case, I'm just gonna make myself look stupid. You know, best case, maybe I'll learn something. Maybe I'll maybe I'll understand
Maybe
and
he
be like,
likes it.
yeah, I doubt that.
Maybe he likes it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
doubt it. Like that coach always high now.
Yeah.
He comes to the gym high. I'm leaving high. I'm teaching classes, smoking high. Like,
Nah, that's wild. I would say the one thing. So the one thing that I usually I have a dab pen, and a dab pen is just the THC chemical is just almost squeezed out of the plant and just the oil base, right?
I know that shit annoys me. Like every time I see him with his dab pen, I try to hide it from
So
him. Yeah,
so I like that because sometimes when you the difference between when you use a blunt,
yeah,
like the wrap, it leaves your breath like kicking
yeah.
hot,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
and also
that's true.
with with blunts and wraps, the smell lingers a lot longer. I mean, it lingers.
You
But
see,
with
I'm old
the
school though. I'm old
but
school, so it's gotta be a blow. Yeah,
but with the dab pen, you'll smell it for a split second and then it goes away, and it doesn't linger, um, doesn't leave your breath smelling like shit.
does your girl smoke?
No, no. I mean,
How she feel about you smoking?
every now and then I'll intrigue her too. I'll be like, yo, just hit this, and she'll hit
Why you
it.
being a negative influence on her? Like,
I'm not. I'm not no negative
if she don't
influence.
want to smoke, then she don't like. If
Then
she,
I don't be like, I'll be like, here, you want to hit this, and I just be like, just one time, and if she say no, I'm like, okay, cool.
that's still like it doesn't sound like a lot, but if your boyfriend asks you, you want to hit this, it, like she feels the pressure of
Pause.
uh, she feels the pressure of like of hitting it because of the fact like if she doesn't, that she don't seem cool in your eyes. Like there's a
No,
little
I
slight
be
pressure. You
no.
peer pressure her, man.
I ain't
If
listen.
she wanted it, she would ask you for it.
Sometimes you have a couple of drinks, and you're like, yo, sometimes that offsets the drinks. And for all my, I know
I'm
you guys know what I'm talking about.
just say no.
But no, but I bet you if if she wanted to participate in this, she would.
I mean, she would, but she couldn't make me do it.
She couldn't make. I bet you she could.
I bet you she could. She already know.
You ain't
She,
get no butt.
yeah, well,
No butt
I'm
for
all
him.
right.
Yeah.
I'm all right. You know what I'm saying?
She
They
said
got,
I got my right hand.
yeah, right. We got Pornhub. We got X Hamster. We got
I've
Red
never heard of
Tube. Yeah,
that.
we got Red Tube. We got we got Twitter. Like, hey man, I'm good to go. It's all good, man. We go ahead and wrap this up.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, wrapping this up, man. I hope you guys enjoy this. Like I said, this was our first episode of Belt to Ass.
The good, the bad, the ugly. Let's get into it.
We talk about everything on here, so stay tuned for the next episode.